So can you tell me what you both do?
So I'm a teacher.
And what about you, Mike?
I'm a business banking manager.
Okay, so in terms of income, do you earn basically the same, or is there a difference?
Definitely not. She earns twice as much as me.
Twice as much?
Yeah.
Is that an issue?
And my values is the man earns the most. Not to say that Yasmin's made me feel that way, but I think it is ingrained in me.
It's ingrained, yeah. It's entrenched in you.
How do you manage it? That must be really difficult for you.
It's not easy. Her earning twice as much as me sometimes makes me feel like I not necessarily need to compete, but I've obviously gone into debt, and it is hard for me because most of my disposable income goes towards debts. Then that also shifts the dynamics and the bill paying and the rent paying in the house as well.
Yeah, so how does that work out?
So it's so embarrassing to say, but she pays basically 70% of the rent. And saying that out loud makes me feel less than, makes me feel a little bit this big, basically.
So do you know how much debt that Mike has at the moment?
I have an idea of how much it is, but I don't...
So what's your idea of the debt?
My idea is that it's around 6,000.
Okay. Is Yasmin's idea of the debt accurate?
No. It's basically doubled.
You're not serious.
Yeah.
How can you wait till we come to here to say that?
I don't like the feeling of, first of all, having debt.
But I've never ever given you reason to not be open and honest with me when it comes to those conversations. There's never been a time where I've judged you on it, where I've said anything to make you feel like you can't have that conversation with me.
I'm putting myself in a vulnerable situation where I'm telling you about my debt, and then this is the reaction I'm going to get, which is why I don't want to talk about it.
No, but don't make it out like that, because it's not like that when we're at home. No, when we're at home, it's not like that.
But
it's the fact that you've let it come to here. How can it snowball to that point? I've always said I don't mind doing X, Y, and Z if it's for us. But if it's going to keep snowballing, then it's not for us, is it? Because you're not making decisions for us, you're making decisions for you. And that doesn't make sense.
I just don't like being talked to like I'm a child. I don't talk about my debt because I know I'll get a reaction like this.
This isn't from the debt. This is from the fact that you've let it snowball.
I've made bad financial decisions.
If we go food shopping, I will buy for everyone, and he will go separately and go and buy food for him, organic, grass-fed meat, organic fruit and veg.
I think my thing is consistently, impulsively buying things that are not necessarily expensive, but over time
they mount up.
Yes, and that's what it is. It's buying the takeaways. Sometimes I'm spending anywhere from £50 to £100 every other day. Basically, it's buying the fragrances that I don't necessarily need, that are not even the name brand.
Yeah, but the
ones.
way you spend is not normal, because you won't just go out and buy one fragrance. You will have like 7 deliveries. You will have 7 deliveries come. That's not normal to go and buy 7 fragrances.
But no one likes even that. I don't like to be told that I'm not normal. I know it's not great, is it? It's not ideal.
Yeah, but no one's saying you can't treat yourself. But why do you need to buy 7? Why can't you just say, okay, yeah, I want that one and that one, and then when I got a little bit more money, then I'll go and get that one. But that doesn't make sense. That's how you've ended up here.
Yeah, well.
You spend the money to sort of treat yourself, to look after yourself.
That's exactly it.
Is that ringing true?
Culture plays a massive part in how I think about money as well. Sometimes trying to show that I can be the head of the household or the breadwinner has obviously set me back a bit as well.
There's a real contradiction going on here, isn't there? Culture, but in a way, Yasmin is setting that aside and she's willing to accept you on a completely different basis.
I just have a real anxiety or insecurity about finances, and also she hasn't shown me maybe when we're together, basically, that she still kind of wants to be here.
If I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be here.
I do feel like the finances have affected our relationship, and
I feel like it's affected you.
And most of what Yasmin has said in this session doesn't back that up, Mike.
Now that we're here, and obviously I said I'm going to try to be open and honest. So hard. This is the biggest thing I've ever kept from Yasmin. We don't ever keep secrets from each other. I remember I told you that I had a reshuffle at work, and they've been moving people around and all the rest of it, but I've been made redundant, and it's been 2 months. It's embarrassing to say, but literally I'll dress up like I'm going to work. We leave the house around the same time, and then I would literally circle around, and as long as she's gone to work, I'll just circle back home.
I just feel completely and utterly blindsided. He's been living another life, just lying to me. I can't even look at you right now. I can't.
All right, so when I was watching this couple, I'm thinking to myself, Mike is just 100% wrong. And when you're married, you're supposed to be a team. Like if I was laid off from my job, I'm telling my wife immediately so we can have a plan, even though, yes, I'll have money put away just in case that happens, because that's what you're supposed to do anyway. So you can live to either find another job or hold you off until you find another job. But I'm like, yes, as a man, you're brought up to be the breadwinner. You're supposed to be the protector. You're supposed to be the man of the house. And I'm thinking to myself, when I ask them how, like, who makes more money in their country, I'm like, how much do teachers make if she's making more or double what he's making, or what, double what he's making? So I'm like, I was curious about that part. But yeah, he I don't feel, because she doesn't come off as a person who's going to be harping or jump down your throat if something bad happens. And she said in the clip, if it's for us, she's down for doing everything. But I would feel, if I'm her, I'm losing trust because you couldn't tell me the issues that you're going through. And I hate it when people do this. They do this on TV shows and movies where someone gets laid off and then they act like they're going to work, but they're not. I'm like, really though? Come, like, and they have a child at this point too. So like, you're getting more into debt because you're afraid to tell your wife that you got laid off from your job. And then you're buying stuff just because you're sad or depressed or whatever, something's going wrong, and you're putting yourself in more debt, which makes no sense. And he said he know it was wrong, but yet he did it anyway. So I'm glad they're in therapy, because he needs a lot of help just to talk to his wife when she seems like she's an easy person to talk to about these type of things. So gotta be honest with your spouse. When it comes to stuff like this, they have a right to know, because you're supposed to be one team.
All right, somebody, let me just bottom line this. Mike should not have a credit card, number one, because he's that person, and Jay's talked about this in other videos, where he sees it as free money, right? He has this balance, this much that he can use, the credit line. So hey, let me use it and I'll pay later. Except Mike is the guy that doesn't pay later, and he just keeps building it up. So now I'm just curious with Mike, as he was laid off and has been laid off for 2 months. Now he pretends to go to work, but then goes home. So does that mean he's not even looking for a job? That he's pretty much freeloading off of Yasmin? And Yasmin doesn't even know. So number one, wow. Okay, that is just huge, all right? I mean, if you have red flags, this is the biggest one of all, because he's keeping it to himself. Mike is a child, okay? He is not mature enough to handle money, as you've seen, because now he's in $12,000 of debt and not telling anyone. And by the way, what was he saying? He's just buying things here and there that he doesn't even need, that he knows, but he does it, from my understanding, to keep appearances that everything is okay. That's not the way. Now, the one thing for sure with this, you have to tell your partner. Again, there should be no secrets, all right? But you have to tell her. She has to know, because now this may not just be Mike's debt. It may be hers now if she wants to help. Now, hopefully in whatever country they're from, because full transparency, I've gone through this, okay? When I had credit cards, after a certain while, when I got my family, I would use it to cover bills and this of that nature. But then I used up all the credit line, and then you know how that goes. But I found a debt relief program, okay? So I went to that. So I didn't just leave it. There was an answer. There was a way to take care of it, and I did. All right, and I learned the lesson the hard way, obviously. I'm sure Jay's shaking his head about that, but I learned the lesson the hard way about credit cards. Don't run it up and think you don't have to pay it back. So I learned it, and now with the credit card that I have, I leave it to one. I pay responsibly. That way, as soon as I spend it because I have the money. So, but again, there's other things to think about here. When you use money and you use credit cards, don't just buy things you don't need, obviously. I will say this, I've upgraded my gear for the channel. I purchased a new laptop, webcam, green screen, all that, but these are investments. And I was able to pay most of that off for the credit card, okay? But investment. I'm not buying trinkets that I know I don't need. You don't do that. That's foolish, okay? And I feel for Yasmin, because she just got hit hard with all this information, and that's a break of trust. And the number one thing you don't do is break the trust by omission. And especially because Mike has an ideology of what a man should be. Like he said, a man needs to provide. So I'm thinking, with Yasmin making double as a teacher, is Mike just a teller? I mean, I know he said his title, but that sounds like he's a teller at the bank, because they make the lowest amount, obviously. But maybe Yasmin is just has tenure, has been a teacher for a couple years, so I understand that. Maybe she's at a great school that pays. And whatever country, maybe they pay more. Because we know here in the States that teachers are horribly underpaid, okay, for what they do. So, again, Mike, and people like Mike, you know who you are. You're probably under that big debt right now, and probably some of you haven't even told your spouse. You can't do that, all right? Be honest. That way, both of you can work it out. Yeah, your spouse may give you a lashing about why you let this happen and for so long and whatnot, but you have to put this out there. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in a relationship either, let alone don't have a credit card. Mike, you're not good with money. Figure it out, because you're no good. And Yasmin, I wouldn't blame you if you split from him, because you probably should.